What I'm going to do here today is probably YouTube's most self-indulgent unboxing video, because I am going to unbox my new novel Ghoster, which has just arrived in this envelope from my publisher Orbit Books. Together we're going to open this up, we're going to look at the cover. I'll be a bit excited, hopefully you will too, and in order to sweeten the pill though of me essentially removing my own book from a bag and having a look at it, I'm going to cover some hopefully interesting topics, such as how much say an author has in their own book cover, a few differences between the proof version of Ghoster and this finished copy, and also, if you stay till the very end of the video, I'm going to tell you how you can win this signed US hardback edition of my novel The Last Days of Jack Sparks, plus some red pen pages from the edit phase of this novel, which are absolutely unique and you can't find anywhere else in the world because they're one-off items. So, without further ado, let us rock. Hello you handsome giraffe, I'm Jason Arnopp, the author of The Last Days of Jack Sparks, this new novel Ghoster, and some Doctor Who stuff. Now you'll have to excuse me because I like to burn a bit of incense in my office and I didn't really think it through before I started this video. Can you see me? Can you see me alright? It's a bit like Victorian London, isn't it? Very much the same, yes. So let's go back in time just for a moment to 2016 when my debut novel The Last Days of Jack Sparks came out. It went down quite well, I think. People who actually heard about it and then made the leap of faith to pick it up and read it seem to really like it. Some people really like this book, so I'm really pleased about the reception. But ever since, of course, I've been working on the follow-up. I say follow-up, but Ghoster isn't a follow-up in the sense of being a sequel to Jack Sparks. It's a standalone story. And Ghoster is actually about a paramedic called Kate Collins, who's about to move into her boyfriend's flat across the country. They've had this whirlwind Tinder romance, and now it's about to go sadly wrong because he disappears. When she turns up at his flat, all his stuff has gone, apart from his mobile phone. So, does Kate open this phone and look inside and try to work out what's happened to Scott? Of course she does. Spoilers. But then, why do scratches keep appearing inside the front door? Why do creepy muttering voices keep calling out on Scott's phone? And why does Kate feel so very, very watched? Of course, the answers to that and more are inside the novel. And now we're going to look inside this package. I can't wait any longer, quite frankly. We simply have to look at the cover of this book. I've waited quite a while to see this finished copy, so let's do it now. Yes, here we go. And you can probably see the plumes of incense continuing to float past. Actually, there's a writing method involving incense sticks I use. I put on an incense stick and then I write while the stick burns, and then I'm not allowed to stop until the burning has finished. Probably quite deranged that, but it works. Nice. Okay, enough babbling. Let's get this open. If this isn't actually Ghoster, that'll be quite amusing, won't it? Although if it isn't Ghoster, then I won't have uploaded this video, probably. So if you're watching this video, if this video exists, then you can rest assured that Ghoster is actually in this bag. Is it? Is it? Oh yes, there it is. There's the battery, very low, the Wi-Fi and the reception. Nice, nice. There we go, just adding a bit more light onto the subject there so we can see the cover there in all its glory. Got a nice card here from my editor James at Orbit, James Long. You see how he uses the word verily and hath there. That's unorthodox, but I think it's rather nice. And also behold. Yeah, I do like the final product, sir. I do like the final product. Thank you very much. And as he points out, the rest of my copies will follow, because as an author you get a certain number of author's copies of a book. In my case, I think contractually it's 20. So I'll be getting 20 copies of the book, which is rather nice. Anyway, without any further nonsense, let's have a look at this. Now, the weight feels good. There's no two ways about it. It's weight feels very good. We'll have a look at the differences between the covers, between the original proof cover of this and the finished version. I really like having the Jack Sparks cover there on the back, and obviously I also like having my social info here, including Instagram. That's very nice, fantastic. Ellen Rockell is the designer of this, and she's done an amazing job. I just love this cover. Let's just appreciate the cover itself, because you probably haven't seen it before, and it's clearly designed to look like a cell phone or a mobile phone or a smartphone or just a phone, however you prefer to whatever you prefer to call it. I love the flat battery, you know, these symbols that just create the sense of a phone. And of course we have the text here, the text messages that create the sense of where the hell has my boyfriend gone. And I like this crack in the phone glass. That was something that was relatively tricky to get right, the crack in the phone glass. There were a few different drafts of the book, as there are with any kind of cover design. You know, you wanted a crack that definitely looked like a crack in glass. It's weird, cracks can sometimes look like, I don't know, like a willow tree or something like that. Let's have a look at the spine. You know, one thing I love about this, and you'll understand this if you've seen, if you know the other stuff I'm into, I love how the title here, Ghoster, looks like a thrash metal logo, doesn't it? Looks like a thrash metal band's name. So obviously I'm a big fan of that. Obviously what's awesome on this cover as well is a great quote from Sarah Pinborough: twisty, creepy and absolutely absorbing. Nice. Sorry, this incense smoke is still coming through. I'm just hoping it is atmospheric. Twisty, creepy and absolutely absorbing. Thank you so much to Sarah Pinborough, and that's high praise coming from her, because her books are fantastic. You really have to check out, well, all of her books like Death House, and also Behind Her Eyes, which is a mainstream thriller with a kick like a mule. It really does. It's kind of divided people, but I think in a really good way, because the ending is so mad. And Behind Her Eyes had the hashtag of WTF that ending, and it was well earned. Got another fantastic quote on the back here from Christopher Brookmere, who's an amazing novelist, and it just blows my mind that he seems to like my stuff. He gave me a great quote for the last days of Jack Sparks as well. So here we can see the blurb. Kate Collins has been ghosted. She was supposed to be moving in with her new boyfriend Scott, but all she finds after relocating to Brighton is an empty flat. Scott has vanished, his possessions have all disappeared, except for his mobile phone. Kate knows she shouldn't hack into Scott's phone. She shouldn't look at his Tinder, his texts, his social media, but she can't quite help herself. That's when the trouble starts. Strange whispering phone calls from numbers she doesn't recognise, scratch marks on the door that she can't explain, and the growing sense that she is being watched. And then there's a bit of blurb there, ending with, prepare to never look at your phone the same way again. I like that, that's a good line. Now obviously I think even if I flicked through this book, especially if I flicked through too far to the end, you might be able to pause it and get spoiled. Oh, now this is the first time I'm seeing this actually, this particular excerpt from the book. I'm going to read it to you. I'm not even sure which excerpt it is, but I'm going to read it to you. I study the hallway with intent. Something's different here, but I can't put my finger on what. I scan for any movement at all, any tiny change in the shadows or the light, any signs of life. Oh, the number of times I've done this exact thing while on the job, calling through the letterbox to people who live by themselves, people who phoned us but now aren't answering their door and have gone worryingly quiet, or what was that? What the F was that? Something moved on the left-hand wall, the one facing the sea. One of those shadows moved, no doubt about that. Nice, that's a nice little creepy excerpt to set the tone of the book, I think. Now here's a lovely dedication to my mum, Jenny Arnopp, as it says here, for being excellent, and she really is. 35 days before he disappears off the face of the earth, Scott Palmer stops licking his ice cream cone and lays that look on me. That's the first line. Okay, I'm not going to flick through too far. It's got an extra little bit in the back. it's got an excerpt from the book called The Girl Who Could Move Stuff With Her Mind by Jackson Ford. So that's nice. I like how Orbit do this. On top of the book you've just read, you get a little snippet of a book that you potentially might want to buy next. So that's nice. Now, like I said, we're going to take a little quick look at any differences between the original proof version of this book and the finished version. This is, this is the normal paperback size, and this one's slightly bigger, probably so that reviewers can't misplace it, I'd imagine. The bigger a book is, the less likely you are to misplace it. That's my logic anyway. That's not official Orbit logic, I'd like you to know. Can you spot any differences up here? Let's play spot the difference. Yes, you will have noticed that one of these messages changes from this one to that one, and there's a reason for that. We just felt that the "Don't ignore me" here from Kate it probably gave the wrong impression of Kate. It probably makes her sound a little bit more needy and perhaps even hysterical, than she actually is, because she's a very strong and willful individual. She just has certain flaws that do not serve her so well in the situations she finds herself in, particularly with digital addiction. And so, so we changed "Don't ignore me" to "Please talk to me." We just didn't want to give the wrong impression of Kate. It's quite important, isn't it, when you don't want to put anybody off, especially not for an incorrect reason. So that got changed. I think everything else is pretty much the same. Obviously this is different. We had "Prepare to never look at your phone" the same way again, but then when the Sarah Pinborough quote came in, that goes on the cover because that's obviously lovely. And quite a few differences on the back there, I guess. Obviously we've got the Chris Brookmere quote. When this was put together to go out to people, we hadn't got the blurb quotes in, so those hadn't gone on there, and the proof didn't have the Jack Sparks cover, and there's quite a few differences. But once again, thanks so much to the people at Orbit and to Ellen Raquel, the designer, for coming up with the concept of this cover. That's probably something interesting to talk about. By and large, authors don't come up with the concept for a novel cover. I think that's absolutely right, because I don't think that we have, well, some of us may have the necessary design qualifications, but more crucially, we don't have the required distance from our own work. It's very, very difficult for us to get the right kind of perspective that's required to look at a book cover on a marketing level and to see the most commercially viable way of putting across a story. And so with the cover of Jack Sparks, I would never have dreamed of that cover, but I'm absolutely delighted with it, and it's amazing. And the same goes for this cover. I mean, I think this is genius, turning a book cover into a phone screen. It just communicates the tone and the premise of the book so well. And so thank you, Orbit, once again for an amazing cover. I really appreciate it. And thank you to you for watching this far, but hang around because I'm about to tell you more stuff, including how to win Jack Sparks signed and dedicated, as well as some other stuff. Let's go back to me at my desk. I did promise that I would show you how you can get your name in my Hall of Fame on my website, and also potentially win a signed and dedicated copy of this. So it's quite simple. All you have to do is pre-order Ghoster in any format you choose, whether it's the paperback, the Kindle, or the audiobook, and then just send me the proof, the confirmation email or whatever. You can either show me on Twitter or Facebook, or through this email address, which I'll put down there, and I'll also put that in the video description down below. Once I've received your confirmation, I'm going to put you on the list of beautiful pre-ordering deities on my page at jasonarnopp.com/ghoster. And then when we get to 100 pre-ordering deities, which we very nearly have already, I'm going to pick a number from 1 to 100, and one of those people will win actually not only this signed US hardback, but some red pen pages from the creation of this hardback, which are absolutely unique. By red pen pages, I mean printouts of the earlier versions of the novel that I've printed out for myself to edit, and then I've daubed on them with red pen the changes I want to make. So you'll be seeing like an earlier version of the novels. I'll be sending several of these pages to whoever wins this competition. So get down into the video description where I will remind you of all of this and give you the appropriate links. And when you've done that, go even further down past the video description to comments and tell me how much of an important role a book's cover plays in you buying it. Do you literally judge a book by its cover, or do you always turn over a book to look at the blurb on the back before you decide to buy it? Would you never get to that blurb if it wasn't for a compelling cover, or do covers not matter so much as, say, a title or maybe a glimpse of the blurb you've seen on Amazon? Anyway, get down there and let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, then consider doing that. I also usually chat about retro stuff like VHS, Doctor Who, horror films and the like. So, until next time, embrace your obsession.
There's something here that's always you.